Dynasty. Hey, this is Niels on Dynasty. Please like, share, and subscribe. Buy some silver, some platinum, and some crystallized osmium. And let's see what Niels got for us today. Let's see here. Let's turn the volume up so you guys can hear it. There's some cool stuff. Random cool stuff, but cool stuff all the same. Stunning comeback of U.S. mining comes back after decades of dependence. What? No way. This is Fox Business. Let's see. Mining is coming back. Didn't someone just say on JM's show last night, it was Soylent Green, that he thinks mines are underrated? I've heard a couple other people, and of course they are, because they're going to run after the precious metals start running, which means it's about time that the precious metals stocks, the miners, actually start growing. So let's see what she has to say.
Chain we go. U.S. companies are ramping up graphite mine production to fulfill a booming demand for batteries and rely less on China for rare earth magnets. Fox Business's Jeff Flock is live from a mine in Gouverneur, New York this morning with more on this push for graphite. Jeff.
Talk about bringing industry back to the U.S., Maria, bringing mining back to the U.S. You are looking right now at the processing of the first graphite mined in the U.S. since the 1950s. Pretty amazing when it comes to it. Graphite, I don't know if you know much about graphite. It's in rock, little flecks of it in rock, so it has to be harvested out. This is a rock that they've mined. I want to show you the process here. I also want to talk to the CEO. You're seeing on the other side of the screen this mine deposit that they found. This is a zinc mine, and I've got the CEO of Titan Mining, Rita Adriana. You have a zinc mine here. You stumbled upon graphite, yes?
Absolutely. So we have a 120,000 acre mineral rights package. We went looking for zinc and we found graphite.
And now graphite is huge. This is the processing of it. What am I looking at right here, if I can see?
So what you're looking at here is the mined rock that we get from the ground. We take that and we concentrate that up to very high levels of graphite. So the flotation circuit that you're seeing here is about 95 to 99% graphite.
So you get almost all graphite. The other thing about this, Maria, is that we get put the number up. It almost amazed me. All of our graphite now is imported. Most of it comes from China, 42%.
Absolutely. And that's why it's a very unique proposition being a domestic producer, because it's a national security issue.
I was going to say, Department of War now mandates that we're going to have to get this stuff from here.
Yes. So under the NDAA, there are severe restrictions on procurement. And again, that's why we play a very crucial role.
This will be the first mine to go online in terms of selling graphite here in the U.S., Maria. China can turn it on and off. Important to make it here. And it's great to see mining coming back in the U.S. Graphite, not just in your pencils anymore, but as you point out, in batteries and defense. Very important.
Exactly. I love this. This is so great to see this kind of ramp up and supply chain in America. Thank you, Jeff.
Sweet. So we're getting some mines in America. Mining is good. We all can agree mining is good. Let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, here's some. This is funny as crap, people. This one's funny as crap. Sorry about that. I got to put my screen down to be able to see my other screen.
The largest rare earth.
Hold on. This is China's China Observer. China's biggest. Oh, this is funny. China's biggest rare earth factory explodes. Workers blown away by massive tank hurtled 2 kilometers. This is their rare earth. What do you call that? Smelter.
refining and processing plant in China exploded. It was the Baotou Baogang rare earth steel plate factory in Inner Mongolia. The sound was deafening, and in an instant, a huge
Oh,
shockwave sent a circular storage tank flying into the air. The tank shot up dozens of meters high before falling back down, leaving a massive crater when it hit the ground. A white mushroom cloud rose into the sky, visible for miles around. It happened during work hours, with many people in the factory. Surveillance footage shows a bright flash of light bursting from inside the plant, followed by a loud thud. The area was instantly engulfed in thick smoke, with steel beams, iron pieces, and debris flying everywhere. The explosion severely damaged the plant buildings. The control room collapsed, and the iron door of the high-pressure chamber was blown several meters away. Videos posted by netizens show thick smoke lingering over the site. Nearby residential buildings had their windows shattered by the blast, with broken glass and even steel bars falling out. Some residents rushed out of their homes. One person said, "I thought it was an earthquake. The ground was shaking under my feet." Some houses had cracked ceilings, and chandeliers fell. A few houses even had their walls cracked, and one home completely collapsed. Around a few kilometers from the site, metal debris from the explosion landed on the roof of a nearby scrap metal station, creating a deep pit. A reporter checked on navigation software and saw the location was about 2 kilometers away from the explosion site. In the photos, the metal object appears larger than a car, showing just how powerful the explosion was.
wow.
The scrap station owner said he was lucky no one was in the yard at the time.
That right there, that big ball got blown almost a mile away when that plant exploded in China a week or so ago.
Still shaken, he said, "If the tank had fallen just 3 to 5 meters closer to us, a heavy object weighing several tons would have fallen from the sky. I can't even imagine what would have happened." A nearby auto repair shop owner said he saw a giant ball-shaped object fly out of the factory and crash into a scrap metal station, destroying a 2-story building. He recalled, "I saw the iron tank flying toward us. I yelled for the mechanic to run, and I dove under a big truck." A supermarket owner said she heard a loud sound like fireworks going off, then saw a black ball flying toward her. When it hit the ground, it kicked up a huge cloud of smoke. "My daughter was studying at a desk inside the supermarket, about 5 meters from the glass door. The shockwave shattered the glass, hitting her in the head." What's even scarier is that the shockwave brought with it flying debris,
And what's up, Kelly?
iron shavings, tools, and even metal pieces from the tank. An older worker said, "I've never seen such a violent explosion. The shockwaves pushed me back 3 or 4 meters, like someone had shoved me hard from behind. I lay on the ground, and my first reaction wasn't pain, but disorientation. All I could see was thick smoke, and it was like the light had been swallowed up." After the explosion, multiple images showed that the factory building and surrounding structures were reduced to rubble, with some building walls collapsed. Drone footage revealed that the site was scattered with debris, while an excavator was
Okay, right off the bat, that's steel, and that's bent and twisted. That was one hell of an explosion to take that 2 to 3 story ball of steel and throw it almost a mile of land on someone's house or in their yard. Wow.
working to clear the rubble and damaged facilities. The blast's force even affected the railway line 5 kilometers away. Factory valves were thrown out during the explosion and landed on the tracks, causing trains passing through Baotou to be delayed. Nearby villagers reported that about 70 to 80% of the houses in the
That right there, that's a 2-story house. And this ball right here is what flew 2 kilometers. You can see, and it's half in the ground. So that's like a 4-story building of steel that got blown 2 kilometers when this factory, it was a rare earth element refining factory in China that exploded.
their village, which has between 500 and 600 households, had their windows shattered. With temperatures as low as negative 20 degrees Celsius in the winter, villagers had to go to nearby markets to replace the glass. In the hospital, a steel mill crane operator who was injured in the head said he was sitting in a break room about 60 meters away from the explosion site when it happened. He said, "When the explosion went off, it was all a shockwave, and it instantly sent me flying. I was sitting on a chair and suddenly was thrown up, landing on the ground. When I got up, the room was completely dark, filled with smoke and dust. The sky turned black instantly, and I couldn't see anything. I groped around for my phone but couldn't find it. Later, a colleague came in with a flashlight and rescued me." One employee of the plant told international media that he was a few hundred meters away from the explosion. The blast was so loud that it took him a moment to realize what had happened. By the time he reacted, people on the road were already calling the police, and he was relieved that someone had acted quickly. He expressed dissatisfaction with the plant's safety training, saying that after completing it, they only responded lazily, relying on social connections to handle issues. When reporters asked for more details, he refused to elaborate. A user on Zhihu said, "When I just graduated from university, I worked in foreign trade in the steel mill's casting department. Back then, every day we prepared for the possibility of not coming back. This accident doesn't look good. Just looking at the blast furnaces and steel ladles in the workshop, they were shaking. Even on the battlefield in Ukraine, a tank explosion doesn't have this kind of power." Workers close to the explosion had no chance of surviving. According to official reports from the Chinese government, as of 9 p.m. on January 19th, the explosion had killed 6 people, left 4 missing, and injured 84. On January 19th, the Baotou city government held a press conference to update the public. The explosion occurred at 3:03 p.m. on January 18th, and the source of the explosion was a 650 cubic meter steam sphere in the steelmaking department. The report stated that production at the factory has been halted. City services like power, water, gas, and communication, as well as residential heating, are operating normally, and surrounding businesses are unaffected. Environmental monitoring has found no impact on the surrounding air or soil. There was no wastewater produced. The affected residential buildings are being checked and repaired, but no structural safety issues have been found. Chinese media reported that a steam sphere is a large container used to store high-temperature, high-pressure saturated steam. With its large size and high pressure, when it explodes, the destruction is immense. This explains why the site resembled an earthquake, with a mushroom cloud rising into the air and debris scattered everywhere. The official report has sparked doubts among netizens. The explosion was so powerful it sent the huge tank flying 2 kilometers. How could it have such a powerful blast? Was there a problem with the factory safety management? Many netizens commented. They say there was no impact, but a mushroom cloud was created. How is that possible? When people burn coal, it affects the air, but they're saying a hydrogen explosion had no impact?
I was going to mention that, but I'm glad that the reporters talk to people and their own Chinese people are saying, I call bullshit. Yeah, there's definitely going to be an environmental impact, and there will be.
Really? They're playing with words. In reality, we can all guess that the death toll is much higher. Right before Chinese New Year, so many people died. These families are so unfortunate. Some netizens posted videos on Douyin, revealing that the current risks in steel companies are very high. Many workers are contract laborers, with minimal training before starting work.
你以为这就是一个简单的普通事故啊？
Tax Act has
Yeah, anyhow, that's enough about that. That was kind of cool, don't you think? I thought it was kind of cool. Hey, what's up, Gerald? Yeah, so rare earth factory, that steel mill right beside the factory that built their shit just blew up on the 19th, and I didn't see it on the news. So apparently Americans aren't allowed to know that China has all the rare earth elements. Yeah, but they just blew up their plant where they refine them. Oops. And by the way, they don't have all the rare earths. We have more than enough here in America. They were discovered end of last year, large deposit up in the Wyoming area. Gotta put the screen down here. I don't want you all to see my crotch. I'm gonna share screen again here. Let's see, share screen, share screen. Ooh, here we go. This is a cool story. It's actually a real cool story, and from my perspective, anyhow, I'm sure you guys aren't too interested. This is from NASA Space. NASA and MIT new nuclear rocket could get humans to Mars in half the time. I spoke about this subject several months, probably over a year ago. I had told people that Russia had 3 out of 4 tests of a nuclear rocket. I think it might have been 2023 they did this, late 2023. They tested 4 rockets, nuclear-powered rockets in Russia. 3 of them blew up, 1 of them didn't. The one that didn't blow up, apparently spies like us got a hold of it, and America got that technology, and now NASA's working on it. But there was actually 3 nuclear explosions in Russia no one talked about in 2023. In case you thought you knew everything. Yeah, no one knows when the nuclear bomb goes off, I guess. Oops.
NASA and MIT have just confirmed new progress on nuclear thermal propulsion, a technology designed to make human missions to Mars faster and safer. A NASA-sponsored study led by MIT graduate researcher Taylor Hampson is now modeling how a real nuclear-powered rocket engine behaves during startup, operation, and shutdown. A critical
I think that guy was a little too old. He only looked like he was 20 or so. I have a second cousin at age 14 built a reactor in his backyard. Google it. Boy that built, what do they call him? Nuclear boy? Boy built a reactor in his backyard. That's my second cousin.
step toward turning decades of theory into flight-ready hardware. With Mars missions planned for the 2030s, this work marks a quiet but important shift in how deep space travel is being engineered. In this video, we will explain what this breakthrough means and why it matters. Let's get started.
Yeah, start it, baby.
For most of the past half-century, nuclear thermal propulsion existed mainly as an unfinished chapter of spaceflight history. Early reactor tests in the 1960s showed that nuclear rockets could work, but political shifts, funding cuts, and technical uncertainty ended the programs before they reached flight. What remained were promising designs and unanswered questions. That situation is now changing. At MIT, Taylor Hampson is developing a system-level model of a nuclear thermal rocket under real operating conditions. Instead of focusing on a single component, his work links the entire engine into one physical simulation. The model includes the hydrogen tanks, turbopumps, reactor core, fuel elements, cooling flow, and exhaust nozzle. By tracking temperature, pressure, and reactor power together, it shows how energy moves through the engine over time. This approach matters because nuclear thermal propulsion does not behave like a conventional rocket. In a chemical engine, thrust is created by combustion, and when the fuel flow stops, the heat disappears almost immediately. In a nuclear engine, fission may stop, but radioactive decay continues to generate heat. The reactor and fuel must still be cooled even after shutdown. If that heat is not managed correctly, materials can fail. Hampson's model allows engineers to study these transitions in detail. It can simulate how quickly the reactor heats up, how the hydrogen flow responds, and how the system behaves during cool down. These are exactly the conditions that determine whether an NTP engine can be operated safely and repeatedly. NASA is supporting this work because propulsion has become one of the biggest constraints on Mars missions. Chemical rockets can reach Mars, but they do so slowly, exposing astronauts to long periods of radiation and microgravity. Nuclear thermal propulsion offers a way to shorten that journey while using less propellant. At the same time, national laboratories and private contractors are testing reactor fuels designed specifically for NTP. These fuels are being exposed to hot hydrogen at extreme temperatures to see how they hold up under realistic engine conditions. The data from these experiments feeds directly into the kind of modeling Hampson is doing, making the simulations more accurate. For the first time in decades, nuclear thermal propulsion is being developed as a real engineering system, rather than a theoretical concept. The fundamental advantage of nuclear thermal propulsion comes from its energy source. Nuclear fission releases far more energy per unit mass than any chemical reaction. In an NTP engine, that energy is used to heat liquid hydrogen until it becomes an extremely hot gas. When this gas expands through a nozzle, it produces thrust far more efficiently than chemical exhaust. This efficiency is measured by specific impulse, which reflect.
What they're not telling you there's is what I just posted in the chat, which won't be seen in if anyone wants to replay this. Let me get back here so I can see it. Helium-3 is not currently used in the operation of operational nuclear rockets, but is heavily researched as a potential superior fuel for future fusion-powered rockets. I put that statement in there because they found hydrogen-3 on the dark side of the moon, and we're really making a big push to go to the moon first. And the reason why we're making a push to go to the moon first is because hydrogen-3 is very expensive to make here on Earth. But if you can just gather it on the moon It's a lot cheaper. Also, no environmental laws apply out there on the moon. And they will be able to make rocket fuel that'll help with these nuclear engines to even allow them to perform better. So you'll see they're talking about Mars, but they're going to go to the moon first because they'll put a limited supply of H3 in the nuclear rocket here on Earth for cost dollar amount. Go to the moon, fill it all the way up cheaper with hydrogen 3, then go to the moon. But anyhow, let's get back to the story.
How much thrust is produced per unit of propellant. Nuclear thermal engines can reach roughly twice the specific impulse of the best chemical rockets. That means a spacecraft can either carry less fuel for the same mission or travel much faster with the same mass. What makes NTP scientifically challenging is not just building a reactor, but integrating it into a propulsion system. The hydrogen flowing through the engine both cools the reactor and becomes the exhaust that produces thrust. The reactor power determines how hot that hydrogen becomes. These two processes influence each other continuously. This creates a tightly coupled system. If hydrogen flow drops, reactor temperatures rise. If reactor power changes, exhaust pressure and thrust change. Understanding this feedback loop is essential for designing a stable engine. Earlier nuclear rocket programs lacked the tools to fully model these interactions. They relied heavily on testing and trial and error. Today, advanced computing allows engineers to solve the neutronics and thermodynamics together, predicting how the reactor and engine will behave before anything is built. Hampson's model represents this modern approach. By linking neutron behavior, heat transfer, and fluid flow, it can simulate the engine across its full operating cycle. This allows engineers to explore design trade-offs such as fuel geometry, cooling strategies, and power levels in software rather than hardware. Alongside modeling, experimental programs are testing new fuel materials that can survive the extreme environment inside a nuclear rocket. The fuel must withstand intense heat, radiation, and hydrogen exposure without degrading. These tests are critical because even the best simulation must be validated by real materials. Together, modeling and testing are turning nuclear thermal propulsion into a mature scientific and engineering field. If nuclear thermal propulsion becomes operational, it would change how deep space missions are designed. Faster travel to Mars would reduce the time astronauts spend exposed to radiation and weightlessness. Shorter missions also reduce the amount of food, water, and
those two things you just mentioned, I know they don't talk about a lot, but there were two twins, or are two twins. They're scientists and astronauts. One of them was sent up to the ISS, the International Space Station, stayed there for a year, came back down, and they did medical comparisons to his twin brother. And the guy who spent a year up in space and weightlessness is medically screwed. So weightlessness in space for long durations actually affects the health of humans, and also the radiation exposure that he was talking about. But we do have shielding for that. So the more important one would be the weightlessness exposure. And that's why they're working on, what are those called? Not anti-gravity, but inertia dampeners. Because with inertia dampener, you have a solid gravity base inside your thingy, your object, and it's affected of anything on the outside of that dampening field. So you can do like this with the dampening field on, and whatever inside that dampening field is just standing there normal. So that'll also take care of space travel to Mars with the weight
and spare parts required, lowering the total mass that must be launched from Earth. This improves both safety and flexibility. Crewed missions could carry more robust life support systems and have better options for emergency returns. Scientific missions could send heavier instruments and landers, expanding what can be studied on Mars. Beyond Mars, NTP could enable ambitious missions to the outer planets. Large spacecraft could reach Jupiter or Saturn much more quickly than with chemical propulsion, opening new possibilities for exploration. However, major challenges remain. Launching nuclear material from Earth requires strict safety protocols. Reactors must remain inactive until they are safely in orbit. Regulatory approval and public acceptance are also significant hurdles. From a technical standpoint, the next step is integrated testing.
Now, see, what's going to help out with this is the acceptance of the micro and small modular reactor, and what the Nuclear Regulatory Agency is doing right now to promote that is going to push this along a lot faster. And again, you should look at any company that's involved in any of this process for a business investment possibility, because they're going to grow, obviously.
Reactor cores must be operated under propulsion conditions to confirm that fuel, cooling systems, and control mechanisms behave as expected. If these tests succeed, they could lead to flight demonstrations in Earth orbit. NASA's renewed focus on nuclear propulsion reflects a broader reality. Mars is far away, and chemical rockets alone make the journey difficult and risky. Advanced propulsion is not a luxury, but a requirement. What makes today different from the past is readiness. Materials science, nuclear engineering, and computational modeling have all advanced to the point where NTP can be approached systematically rather than experimentally. Nuclear thermal propulsion is moving from theory into real engineering. With modern modeling and testing, it may soon power humanity's first true deep space journeys.
All right, sorry about that. I got a little kitty here. This is Sweet Tart, because she's got 2 hearts, but I was in a candy mood, so I named one of them Pumpkinhead. And then we got Twix. It's on the bed. And then we got Sweet Tart. Where is Pumpkinhead? Anyhow, you want to say hello, Sweet Tart? Say hello. 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 Yeah. Daddy's girl. All right, let me see. I'm going to go ahead and close this up, show some more screen. Yeah. She's real soft, too. She just climbed up here, started purring, and since she's 101 degrees, it's kind of cold out. It felt pretty good, so I'm letting her stay. Oddly enough. All right, this is Overdrive. I might get strike because I don't know if I can show their shit. This is why Caterpillar walked away from new highway truck engines. Will they ever return? I've done several videos, my own videos, on how Caterpillar was walking away from their very successful diesel engine that are used on these 18-wheelers. And I guess no one really believed me, but they are. And, hydrogen is going to be the next big thing. But here's Caterpillar giving you, or Overdrive giving you the reason why Caterpillar did what Neil said they were going to do.
Our 2024 Trucker of the Year, Alan Kitzhaber, asked Caterpillar if they might ever be getting back into the highway truck engine game for new equipment.
Not that I'm aware of. First off, I haven't heard anything about us getting back in the industry, but we are still supporting the over 1 million engines that we have out there on the road right now.
Did you hear that? Caterpillar is not getting back into the diesel engine category. They walked away. The most successful engine company on the planet for big diesel engines. And what did that gentleman just say? Here, let's let him replay here.
Over 1 million engines that we have out there on the road, but we are still supporting.
Oh, I got back further. Hold on.
Not that I'm aware of. First off,
they might ever be getting back into the highway truck engine game for new equipment.
Not that I'm aware of. First off, I haven't heard anything about us getting back in the industry, but we are still supporting the over 1 million engines that we have out there on the road right now.
That engine there, as beautiful as it is, the best built engine in the world, they're walking away from. Why would they do that? Why would you walk away from the success? Must be a dynamic shift in power plants that are better than a combustion engine power plant, like Neil has done videos on, coming to the market. I guess another proof, in fact, that Neil's been telling you this is going to happen. Let's hear why Caterpillar's doing what Neil says.
Alan Kitzhaber built his career and current well-deserved retirement with the Caterpillar engine. Came factory installed in his 1995 Kenworth T600.
I've driven this truck since it was new in January of 1995, and it's got a Caterpillar 3406E engine in it, 550 horse. No, I don't have 4 million miles. Actually, I don't. It's 4.1 million miles. It's actually 4,105,000 almost. Yeah, not bad for driving a truck. Same truck for 30 years, more than 30 years now. Same engine, been overhauled 3 times.
Like many owner-operators, Alan Kitzhaber is sworn by his Caterpillar power. For good reason. In its day, the 3406E was among the most well-used engines on the road.
At one time, Cat engine was the leading engine sold in the Kenworth trucks and Peterbilt as well with PACCAR. So if you look at an average age of our engine nowadays is over 20 years old. So a lot of them can, go buy a drink or go buy a beer at a bar. And we're still out there supporting them with parts and any service we have out there. So
why did Caterpillar stop making their engines if they were so popular and beloved among owner-operators? Alan guessed the answer may have sat within a fundamental difference between his old Kenworth and newer trucks like this modern T680. We spoke with a Kenworth rep at Mid-America.
This truck has evolved in a few different ways. Through powertrain, now we have our PACCAR fully integrated powertrain. So this has the PACCAR MX.
Powertrains. There's going to be 4 to 5 choices of powertrains for cars to get us off of combustion engines. Caterpillar's already been given that option and taken it. What's going to happen to the car industry? Well, I can predict what's going to happen.
510 horsepower engine in it. Also has a PACCAR 12-speed automated transmission and PACCAR axles in the rear. So that fully integrated powertrain, obviously focused in the aerodynamic, on-highway segment, provide better fuel economy for the driver, more money in your pocket, obviously.
Something you brought up about everything being integrated from the engine, transmission through the rear ends. When you bought my truck, like in 1995, in that era, you bought one brand of engine, another brand of transmission, another brand of rear end, where now everything's all integrated and it's all by the manufacturer, which means that you have more control over what goes on. And everything works together better.
It works a lot better, yeah.
Rather than trying to go to different manufacturers to get all that stuff to work together can be a real challenge.
But yeah, many of the OEMs, international behind us, they have a fully integrated setup. Daimler obviously has their Detroit setup. But yeah, it essentially with all those working pieces, it creates better efficiency, better longevity, and also keeps the cost down for the operator as well.
It makes my truck sound like an antique, doesn't it?
Are integrated powertrains the reason Cat stopped making engines? That was the question Alan asked after our visit with Kenworth.
My understanding was that PACCAR decided they wanted to develop their own engine integrated with the transmission and rear end, and they wanted to do it all themselves, and that's why Caterpillar kind of got out of it.
I'm sure there was parts of that to it. We knew that there was a lot of vertical integration going across all of the companies. Ultimately, it came down to a business decision and whether we wanted to continue going that route or if we were going to figure out to do something different, which we did. We pivoted and we had our own truck for several years. And then after that, we pivoted again, and now we're just out there supporting the cat-powered truck engines we have out there.
Vertical integration within truck powertrains by truck makers was certainly a contributing factor, but it wasn't the only reason Caterpillar exited the on-highway engine market. The official breaking point had to do with emissions. Of the late 2000s, diesel emissions regulations for both particulate and nitrogen oxides were getting much stricter. Caterpillar stuck it out through the onset of the 2010.
Now, I know you guys might not have put this together, but what he just said was for those people looking to pay attention to what's going to happen in the future for engines, look at the regulation and how much problems they're causing for companies to stay the path they're on now. That happened early 2000s, as you just heard. Regulations is the new engine they've got and new powertrain because of the regulation. And that same regulation told you the direction of their company. So you could have got a 99% accurate forecast of their company had you put all this information together and looked at that company and said, well, which way are they going? They're the number one big diesel engine company on the planet. Which direction are they going to go with their company since they're giving this diesel engine up? And that could have been asked back when they got hit in the early 2000s with these regulations for clean air and energy engines.
Changes when most all other engine makers added the selective catalytic reduction today, featuring the use of diesel exhaust fluid. In 2008, they officially announced the end of production for new on-highway truck engines would come with the 2010 emissions regulations. So would the trend of integrated powertrains have spelled the end for Caterpillar engines anyway? We'll never know, but it certainly could have made competition harder. Even as integrated powertrains have become more common in new long-haul trucks, traditional engines like those made by Caterpillar, Cummins, still power a large portion of the market. For many owner-operators, Caterpillar engines remain the backbone of long-haul trucking. As Overdrive 2025 Trucker of the Year contender John Treadway's experience showed, too, Caterpillar still supports owners with availability of factory reman engines like the one that Treadway replaced his 1998 Pete 379's engine with after a catastrophic failure last fall. Cat Engine's future for Alan Kitzhaber seems simple.
So the future is just continue to service and support the products that are out there for a long time.
However long. And that's kind of up to everyone out there. And, if they continue purchasing the Cat parts and services, then we'll continue supporting them.
Thanks for the time you spent with us.
Yeah.
And
I hope you enjoy your retirement.
I intend.
Yeah.
You got to.
Basically just said they're getting out of the business. So get out of that part of the industry because they're getting out of it. They'll still support what they have going, but they're out. So you should take another look and say, what? They're getting out of it? I had to take my money out of it too. Ain't that right? Sweetheart, huh? She's fixing to jump down. Her eyeballs are starting to move. Head's starting to move. There's Pumpkinhead. You gonna jump on Pumpkinhead? Yep, she's gonna jump on Pumpkinhead. Yep, we got a delay on the jump. What's the delay? You're supposed to have been airborne. 101. Aurora. Jump. Terrorizer. Anyhow, let's see what else I got here. Nothing. I got nothing. Those were the only videos I wanted to show. So I guess we just do. Uh-oh. Pumpkinhead's coming up on the leg now. I got two of them up here. That's Pumpkinhead looking at me. I know she's going after your tail. Uh-oh. She wants some more TV time. You better not jump on that. Yeah, you jump down there or on her tail. Jeep's coming up with a new power plant also. That's why China bought 3.2 million ounces of platinum, half the world's supply of platinum. We're in a deficit of platinum 2 years ago or last year. I think it was last year, 2025. No, it's 2024 they bought it. Yeah, they bought half the world's supply. Finish up contracts they have to create new power plants for cars, new engine styles and designs, which Caterpillar has already done. On the industrial scale for big corporations, now it's just time for retail to follow. And that means that we're going to get the same option of power plants and same similar design, small scale, as the big companies are getting. So like Tesla, it's one car produced everything, boom, 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 they got it all. Ow. That's what's going to happen. Anyhow, that's all I wanted to get you guys. I'm going to call it a night. Hope you have a good week. Look at silver and platinum, especially platinum, because platinum's going to fly in the next 2 years. But yeah. All right. You guys have a great one. Peace out.